Alright, we're here.
We're here. Hello everyone, and welcome at the Cusp of Freedom, where we'll be basically having a conversation about why and how we become who we are, what you can do in your life to start living, or instead of just existing, and of course we'll shine some perspective from our philosophy of life, so that you can take it with you and implement it in yours. This podcast is so that you can see yourself in one of our shoes and hopefully dream bigger and be better one day. Without further ado, I'll jump straight into it. I'm the host for this podcast, Marvin Tikio, and today I have a very special friend of mine.
Eddie Vasquez. I come here from Orlando, Florida. My parents are Puerto Rican, so I got that Boricua blood in me, baby.
That's what's up. So Eddie, who are you? What do you do for a living?
We'll start with who am I? That's always a difficult question because when we think outside of an outside perspective, we think, okay, who do people interpret myself as? Not necessarily who am I.
True.
It's a very
Who do you think you're perceived as?
I'm perceived as someone who is very loving, giving, nature-driven. I'm very outdoorsy. My friends all call me Tarzan. Got the long hair and everything. And that's pretty much who I interpret myself as. I love to give. I love to, just be caring of others and, just put myself in other people's shoes. I'm a Gemini. So I'm not two-faced. We see both parts of everybody's story.
Okay.
And a lot of people get that a little bit confused. They like to think of myself as someone who picks sides, but in reality, my perspective is just so wide that sometimes it hurts people's feelings.
So you're perceived as this all-around caring person. So would you say that that perception is true to who you really are?
I think so, yeah. Like I said, I like to see both sides of people's stories. I like to put myself in other people's shoes, other people's settings, because we all grew up around different environments.
Yeah.
We all have experienced life in a different way. And if you're just having this tunnel vision into just your life and your life alone, you're going to miss out on a lot of things, a lot of emotions people are feeling. So it's just opening up that tunnel vision just to see a little bit more of the world.
Oh, wow. What, have you always been this way, or what has made you have such a wide, perspective on how to view things?
I don't think I've always been this way. I'm gonna give a lot of props, sorry mom, to psychedelics. Psychedelics have been something that have always opened up my perspective. I started trying psychedelics out in high school, and the first time I ever took a psychedelic, I was like, wow, there is so much more in this world, because you felt connected to everybody you were around and everything you were around. So if your friend was feeling sad during this this trip, well, you started feeling sad. And if somebody started getting upset, you started getting upset. Or if you were in a calm, loving, nurturing environment, you felt that. So that definitely changed my perspective. It's not always about what I see, but what you see, what you feel. So that has definitely been one of the first experiences that I started opening up my eye and started envisioning okay, who do I want to be and who do I want to be perceived as?
Interesting. So when you asked yourself, who did you want to be? Were you already on the route of going into cybersecurity, or?
No. So I'll talk about my cybersecurity journey now. About a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I started questioning what did I want to do in life. I was just working job to job. I started working at 16. First job was at Chick-fil-A. Worked there for 4.5 years of Chick-fil-A. I'm grateful for my time there. They taught me so much, especially the patience, kindness. But then from there, I went to an ambulance manufacturer where I was just working hard all day. I was just a person. I was replaceable. I mean, at any job you're replaceable. But there, it was a trend. They got rid of people if they weren't, working up to par. And, I got tired of it. Started looking for another job. Started working at a call center. But before I left the call center, while I was still working at the ambulance manufacturer, I had a friend of my mom's. He is a security engineer I'm not gonna name drop any names, but he works for a big company. And he came up to me one day and he was like, "What do you want to do for your life?" And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. I've just worked so hard that I've gotten accustomed to it. And he was like, I know you're a smart kid. I know that for a fact. Like, you should look into cybersecurity. I was like, okay. Back then, I used to, as a kid, I loved all the hacker movies. Like, whenever they're typing away and like, I'm in. I was fascinated by that. And I've always been pretty tech savvy. So when he said that, I started looking into it. And then, of course, the analytics already knew that I was looking into the courses and stuff. And then I started seeing the ads pop up time and time again.
Interesting.
And then I'm like, why am I hesitating? What am I scared of?
How long were you like hesitating for? How long?
Maybe like a month.
Okay.
About a month.
That's not too long.
It's not too long, but still, just the fact that I was like, do I want to like do this? Like, I didn't know much about the field other than what I was researching. I didn't know like how hard it was to get a job. So I kind of like was fighting with myself, and then I finally was like, why not?
So you had like this short point of resistance, and then you realized like, why not? I've always been tech savvy. I've always loved, all these hacker stuff. Why not try it out?
Exactly, and I'm a curious individual. Anytime anybody asks me a question, if I don't know the answer, I don't tell them I don't know.
Ah, nice.
I go onto my computer, I'm like, oh, yeah, the answer to this is this, or here, I'll fix that for you. I just figured out how to do it.
Interesting.
So that curious mindset is what drove me to finally, I was like, you know what? I applied, started my courses, and my school wasn't a traditional school. I went through a boot camp.
Okay.
Through UCF. So it's an accredited college, but
okay.
I don't have a degree at all.
Interesting. So you looked for an accredited college to go to?
Just because the name UCF on my resume, I knew it was gonna be like a good highlighting feature.
Right.
Because UCF is recognized across the state. So I was like, okay, I can do a course through another university or another boot camp. But I'm like, no, the fact that it's UCF, I'm like, that's good. That's gonna grab attention.
That's interesting though. What made you not go to a 4-year college? Like, why UCF? I know you said it looked good on your resume, but most people just like jump into student loans, jump into like the 4-year college. So what made you like hold up for a second? I don't want to pick up loans, but I need to go to an accredited college to. Yeah.
So I wasn't fortunate growing up. I didn't have any out of high school. I didn't have any scholarships. My parents weren't gonna pay my way through college, and I wasn't gonna throw myself into debt. So I held off for so long, and I started this when I was about 21, 22. I'm 23 now. Okay. So I was looking for a way. I'm like, how can I make this happen without drowning myself in the process?
Nice.
And I'm like, I'm not going to college. That's just out of the picture. Okay. But then I started seeing the boot camps pop up, and I'm like, that might be it. Granted, I did take a loan out for it. Okay. But that loan I can easily pay off. It's not. I'm not drowning. I'm not concerned with it. I make my payments. Like, nice. And it was only a 10-month boot camp.
Okay. So a lot shorter than having to wait 4 years to be able to finally get my degree and then finally start working in my field. Because if not, I was still going to be working job to job while I was in school. Yeah. And that's overwhelming. That is overwhelming.
If you've been to school, I mean, you know it's a lot. So I went the boot camp route. So I studied for 10 months.
How was the 10-month process? Was it like 10 months super intense, or is it pretty much like 4 or 5 days a week in class and then you get your weekends off?
It was 3 days a week.
Okay.
They were long courses. We were there probably I can't remember the time span, from like 6 to 8 hours depending on the day. Okay. But 3 days a week, and it was also hybrid, which is great. So if there was another obligation or if my shift ended a little later, I went straight home, hopped on the computer, and I was able to attend that way. So it worked out perfectly for me.
Interesting. No challenges, or was it pretty much straight?
It was challenging. I mean, I'm jumping into a field that I knew pretty much nothing about. I'm utilizing tools that I've never even heard of, processes and procedures. So it was a big learning curve. I mean, from the moment when I started to the moment when I finished, I mean, it was just growth. Exponential growth.
Interesting. So, can you accredit your accomplishment of this boot camp to the fact that you had a growth mindset? Like, you didn't really know what you were getting into, but you knew that one way or another you were going to figure it out.
Yeah, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I know I was going to get there.
Nice.
So it's just step by step. Every day, the goal is to become 1% better, right? Yeah. So it's just every day applying myself. Every day taking the time, stopping the distractions. For a period of time while I was studying, I kind of pulled myself away from my friend group to focus on my studies. I had to take that time for myself. I had to be selfish in that manner, because in life, if you're not selfish, everything's gonna just walk right over you.
Yeah.
So when you have that driven goal, when you're dedicated to the gym, to your job, to studying, you know the best route to take is to disassociate yourself and take that time for yourself, because the people who love you, the people who care for you, they're gonna be there at the end. And the people that don't, you're gonna lose them along the way, and that's even better.
That's very accurate. That's very wise words spoken. So would you say that if you would have gone back like 5 years, I mean, now that you know that you can go through this process, like maybe take a couple of months to learn a new skill that can help you have a job like you have now that allows you to be remote, would you go back and do something else, or would you have still done cybersecurity?
I think I still would have done cybersecurity. I mean, granted, 5 years ago I was still in high school, so it's not like I had, too much. But I mean, if I could have picked this up in high school, I definitely would have. I would love to see in the future I've seen a few, but high schools start implementing these programs, because as a child, as somebody who's still in school, your mind is already in the process of learning. You're already used to it. Once you leave high school and you're not studying, you kind of lose a little bit of that, like the student's attitude and the attitude that they just keep going after it.
That's very true.
I would love for high schools to start implementing these courses, because these are skills that anybody can learn.
That's true.
You don't have to be out of high school. You don't have to be in college. No, anybody can do this. If a middle schooler was really interested, they can start this too. I've seen middle schoolers learning how to code, and as soon as they get into high school, they're already picking up contracts. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. What would you say about like the feeling of contentment and the feeling of like, you're providing value to the world? Like, for example, at your current job, do you feel like you're providing value to the world?
Yeah, definitely. So I work for a fintech company, and a lot of what we do for the community. So we definitely do like a lot of outreach programs. They do immense work. I mean, they're amazing people. The culture in my job has been outstanding. They really do care about their people, and they showcase that often. We do, even though we're all working remote, we always do virtual events. So whether it's like a cooking class, virtual, or like a painting class, so they really do make you feel like you're a part of something bigger. Interesting.
So would you say that working for any company, a big part of that is working for a company that cares or shows that they care for others?
Yes, you should never work for a company that doesn't care for you. And it's hard to find. Sometimes you have to do it, but for you to feel fulfilled in your role, you have to be made to feel like you are a part of the team, that you are a part of, not even the team, the family.
Yeah.
And that's what my job is. My job is a family. If I need to take a day off of work, I'm not feeling well, I don't have to, they're not going to tell me, no, you need to get this done. Okay, we'll pick up the slack. We got you.
Interesting.
Take a break. And not a lot of companies are like that.
Interesting. So I guess advice to anyone who has a job where they feel contented, like they're making enough money, that money is really not worth your, you being there if you're not being treated like you're part of the family, or like the company that you're at doesn't really value or see value in people. What would you say from a perspective of traveling? When did you start traveling anyway?
All right, so I've traveled around the U.S. From high school till my point in time now. Even before that.
I guess what was
I got you. I started traveling this month internationally.
Okay.
So Colombia here right now was the first place that I have ever been to outside of the United States.
Nice. Would you say that traveling here in Latin America, would you say it's like giving you a different perspective on the world?
Man, being in the United States, we think we're the greatest. I'm not saying that.
Why do you think we think that?
Because that's what we're made to believe. We're always made in school. It's all about America. They don't care about the history of other countries. Like, all the history that we learn is what ties to America.
Well, to rebuttal that a little bit, I would say, like, if you go to France or if you go to any other country, even here in Colombia, you will hear history that ties to the country, right?
That is true. But they just make it seem like we're all high and mighty. The government likes to portray that we're number one.
Yeah.
And maybe financially, like, we're up there.
Military.
Yeah. We are a powerhouse, but we're not the greatest. If you look back at the people back home in the States, and then you look at the people here, who's happier?
Yeah, the people here.
The people here are happier.
So would you say that what makes a country great is like it depends on the prosperity of the people?
Yes, definitely. What makes a country great is not the finances, the military. No, it's the quality of life, how content people are, how happy people are, how people perceive themselves as. Like here, you can walk down the street and anybody will say hello to you, they'll talk to you. If they see you're eating alone, they'll make quick conversation. In the States, you walk on the street, everybody's looking down at their phones, nobody wants to talk to you. I mean,
Why do you think that is?
Arrogance. Everybody thinks they're better than everybody. They're just, we're like here, a lot of people walk around, a lot of people are just up and about at all times. In the United States, quickest method of transportation isn't walking.
Yeah.
It's being in the car. So they lose that social aspect of their lives to walk down the street and say hello to somebody. Have you ever thought about that? Everybody's driving all the time and they don't stop to walk down the street to say hello.
Or even when they do get a chance, like to stop at a coffee shop, everybody's on their phone still.
Everybody's on their phone, everybody's in their own little world, and that's one of the problems with America. I mean, everybody's just so in their own world.
Bubble.
Yeah, everybody's in their own bubble.
So I guess traveling or being here in Latin America has opened your perspective to the fact that we can be happy and not, and not like rich or have all the opportunity in the world, but we can still be content and happy even in poverty. And
content starts with yourself.
Okay.
If you're not happy, you will never be happy. It doesn't matter where you are. You can come to Colombia seeking happiness because you hear how happy the people are. You can go to Europe seeking it.
Okay.
If you're not happy yourself, you're never gonna be happy. That starts with here.
Okay, so so Americans, would you say most Americans are happy, or would you say that they're just how do you call it? They're not happy, but they're content.
I don't even think that. I don't think they're happy or content. I think they're comfortable.
Ah, okay.
It's breaking out of that
comfort zone.
That comfort zone to prosper. And a lot of people are scared to break out of that comfort zone because they don't know what comes next. Like, especially, I'm a big mental health advocate. If somebody is going through a problem, what do? They indulge in drinking, smoking.
Suppressants.
Exactly. And if you don't allow those emotions to come out, you're never going to get through the problem. Now, the thing is, when you start working on the mental aspect of your life, all those problems start surfacing.
Yeah.
But that's how you get through it.
Yeah.
You have to get through the problem in order to grow from it. But a lot of people, once they start feeling those things come up, back to the suppressants, back to smoking, back to drinking. And they don't take the time to just sit in silence or meditate
and work on it.
Exactly.
Interesting. So from your perspective, you think that Americans have the opportunity? Do you think Americans have the opportunity to change the world? But because 2/3 of us don't have passports, right? I feel like what does that say for us in general as Americans? Besides the fact that we might have some things that we need to deal with on a personal level to at least feel that contentment or feel that love for ourselves. So I guess what advice would you give your regular day Americans that's stuck in a dead end job or not really living up to their full potential? Doesn't have doesn't know how to deal with what's inside. Instead, they might go to drugs or suppressants. What would you say to that everyday American that's very far from believing in themselves because of so many things
What I would tell them is the thing that's stopping you is fear. And usually when you fear something, you go into your flight or fight response, right? Most people flight, they run. But when you do things through fear and you fight, what happens? You get that adrenaline rush. You become stronger than who you were. So I like to tell people to let fear guide you. Because fear will give you that sense of strength. It will give you that rush. It will give you that courage. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting for something. You're fighting for survival. You're fighting to better yourself. You're fighting to improve. So my biggest advice is don't let fear be the thing that drives you away. Let fear be the thing that allows you to fight.
Nice. Wow, this is a pretty deep advice right there. Man, you guys hear this? I had to process that a little bit, but yeah, I think you're right.
It's a crazy concept.
I think you're right though.
People like fear, and then they're like, they just go into being a coward. And no, be strong. You have it in you. That is your natural instinct. You can either fight or flight, but it's your choice. It's your choice to just cower in a ball and just rock back and forth and I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. Or you put your dukes up and you're like, all right, let's get to it.
Nice. So what's your life philosophy? Is it basically like treat others the way you want to be treated, like always be kind and let fear guide your actions?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you say?
Yeah, I would definitely say pretty similar to that. I mean, let fear guide you. Treat others the way that you want to be treated. All the good energy that you put out there, as long as you put it out with good intention, like don't put good out expecting good back.
Yeah.
Put good out because it feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
Put good out if it feels good, feels amazing. And at the end of the day, it's gonna surprise you. It's gonna happen randomly. When you're down, when you're down bad, that's when that good comes back. You're like, dang, like I don't know how to get through this, or man, I'm really dealing with this problem, and the answer is just gonna throw itself in your face. Like remember when you did that good deed for that person? Here you go. Wow,
and psychedelics open your mind to this.
Yeah, psychedelics do. I mean,
wow, that's crazy.
I'm not gonna tell people like, hey, you should try this. Like I would never push that upon anybody.
Yeah, take everything with a grain of salt, guys.
Yeah, don't do drugs. But I mean, it's something to look into. Do your research before you ever try something like this, a substance. I mean, it is illegal in certain places.
Yeah.
So, you can get in trouble, the legalities of it. But
why do you think it's legal? Why do you think it's illegal?
Let's get into that. So back when, who was president at the time? I want to say Nixon. If I'm wrong, don't judge me. But back in the Vietnam War, when psychedelics started coming out, that's when the 70s happened and people started revolting against getting drafted.
Was that like the hippie era or?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the hippie era was brought on by psychedelics. They were trying to make pretty much a chemical compound to make soldiers stronger. In the process of that, they created LSD.
Okay.
Someone pretty much released it out to the public, and people started taking it, and then people started feeling love towards each other and started caring for each other. And they're like, I'm not fighting this war. That's not my war to fight. Why are we going over there? And it was, they made it illegal because of the fact that people were dodging the draft due to these psychedelics.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the whole concept behind it, it's illegal because people didn't want us to have that open mind. People wanted us to be violent and fight.
Sorry, I'm gonna need the tables for the customers.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can pause it real quick. Yeah, we'll crop it out.
Thank you so much.
And if you need this one as well, you can take this one.
Sure.
No, of course. Still rolling? Oh, yeah, sorry.
So you were saying that people started feeling love for one another after taking psychedelics, and
and they started dodging the draft. So Nixon was like, no, this substance is, impeding the mind of others. Like, this is just making people turn crazy, etc. So he was like, made the drug illegal.
Do you think it's ever going to be legal again, or no? Because we live in a world where we need an army of people that don't love.
That's a great question. There's a lot of research right now happening behind psychedelic mushrooms. They do provide a lot of mental health benefits, and slowly it's being recognized, and people are starting to do research behind it. They're starting to push for it. There's a few states that have decriminalized it already.
Colorado?
In the United States. Colorado, exactly, being one of them. So I do believe in the near future, it will be a lot more of an open thing. But the thing with that is, why do people kind of look into these substances? Why did they decriminalize or make marijuana legal? Profit.
Yeah.
So now that the government realizes that they can profit off something that's good for people, that's why slowly it's going to be pushed out, which is wrong. I mean, we don't do this stuff for profit.
Profit, yeah.
This is medicine.
Why
are we profiting off of medicine? That's wrong. People need this.
Yeah, that's just how the world works these days, I guess.
Yeah, but I do see it happening in the near future.
Do you feel like a world where psychedelics is legal will be a world where more people will be in love with themselves, and eventually like there's like this euphoric feeling of everybody just being on the same vibration? If I don't know, yours. Say for example, we use psychedelics as much as we used alcohol. Like imagine how much alcohol was consumed in like COVID. Like imagine if like the world consumed the same amount of psychedelics. What do you think the ripple effect of that would be? Like what would be? I don't know.
That is a great question, and it can go many ways. Like me and my friends joke around, like, what if everybody in the world took a psychedelic at the same exact time? We would probably reach world peace. Like, who knows? But I mean, the thing with everybody taking psychedelics, like, it brings out a lot of people, a lot in you, a lot of trauma, a lot of suppressed feelings. So it's something that you have to slowly implement. Like, it's not just, hey, everybody take this, because if you don't know what you're getting into and don't know how to deal with it, you're gonna find yourself in a bad spot. Yeah. So what I would love to see like happen in the future is have pretty much gurus guide people in the process of taking psychedelics, bringing them through a trip, being there for people.
Interesting.
And that would definitely change the lives of so many people. Like, this should be an actual profession. People should actually be able to, not even profit off of it. Just have somebody who could be there for you.
Just like a shaman, if you would like to take ayahuasca or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. You like getting into psychedelics for the first time. It's a journey. And a lot of the times, like the first time you take it, it's gonna hit you harder than the rest of the time because it's your first time opening up your mind, opening up your soul. So having somebody there to guide you through the process, be there, like it's an essential. The first time I took it with somebody who was there for who has done it for a long time and continue to do it. He guided me through the process. So,
but you won't recommend it for someone who hasn't really gone through trauma, right? Or would you recommend it to everyone? Or can people reach your level of like enlightenment with like philosophy and perspective wise? Can people reach your level of perspective and philosophy without psychedelics?
Oh no.
The videos. There's some. They just happened. I just do not want you guys to get any further. What you would say.
Oh, you gotta upload it to the cloud, boy. Thank you for that.
Story, yeah.
I was getting into it too, like
I was like, they have to know before they.
Thank you so much. I don't know
You
why.
might have to upload, get more iCloud storage or something.
You don't got Google Drive?
I do, but I don't use that.
You better upload some photos to Google Drive and delete.
No, yeah, I think I have storage.
I don't know, videos take a lot. You've been recording a lot of podcasts on there.
Yeah, I have storage.
We gotta jump in. Where did we leave off? Because I already forgot. My attention span's too short.
I think why it was banned by Nixon and damn it.
Go back to the video. Go to the end.
What the fuck? 1 minute? Yo.
No, there's no way.
There's no way. Alright. The first one was 22 minutes.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, there's no way we lost all the I would have cried.
Which is actually pretty long.
It was like right after you said we all took psychedelics.
Okay.
Like around that time.
Was that like a random like topic for you guys to walk into? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on here?
Oh yeah, psychedelics. Yeah, I mean it might be out of storage.
Where'd you get that mic from?
I came with it.
Like where did you get it from?
Somewhere in the United States. I forgot.
Really expensive.
Yeah, it was like maybe 180 something like that.
Or the good quality though.
Yeah. I have a podcast by the way. I want to follow.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. This is just a sneak
Yeah, I don't know why.
You got the behind the scenes footage.
Oh,
We're gonna hear Miranda's voice.
I don't know why.
Oh, is it also connected to the mic? Or is it just
So the audio part is for Spotify and the video part is for YouTube.
yeah. At least you have the Spotify part.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta pause it.
Hey. Oh, the record. Alright, so I think if everybody took psychedelics at the same time, I mean, it's a joke with me and my friends, but we probably would pain world peace. But for you to really get into psychedelics, I think it's fundamental that you have a guru with you or a shaman or somebody who's really knowledgeable in that aspect. Because the first time taking that trip, it's gonna put you through a plethora of emotions. You're gonna have ups, you're gonna have downs, you're gonna cry, you're gonna yell, scream, shout, be happy. So it's definitely essential for people to have somebody there with them that's knowledgeable. And I think that's something that should be, you know, more of the norm. I think more people should come out to helping people go through this process. You know, being that guru, being able to confide in somebody who you know is going to take care of you through that process.
Instead of like it being legalized and made available for profit, basically.
I think it should be legalized, or not even legalized. I think it should be just decriminalized. I don't think that the government should do this for profit because, one, there's a lot of people who are into growing mushrooms, and you know, I trust the people who do it for the genuine interest of others.
Yeah.
I don't want something that's mandated by the government because then the government's in control of this. I mean, they change things around. They might like tweak the components in it, and you know, I rather be able to confide in what I'm consuming.
All right, and they might even be able to like give the message for why you should take it, make it a little different. I feel like if the government were to like decriminalize it or make it for profit, I feel like you won't get the proper guidance that you need when you take it most of the time.
Exactly.
And whereas if it's more low key like ayahuasca, you know that you have to like have a guide when you take it.
Yeah.
And all that, and you have to know how to be prepared before taking it as well.
Yeah. And then the other aspect of like the government like making it widely legal. Oh no.
Alright guys, so we've been running into some technical errors, so we're just going to wrap this up real quick. Throughout this podcast, we've discussed the power of perspective, why it's important to treat others the way you want to be treated, and also why it's important to not be afraid to go out of your comfort zone. And we've spoken a little bit on psychedelics as well, but take everything we say here with a grain of salt. Eddie, is there any last key word of advice you would like to leave the audience with today so that they can take into their lives and implement into their philosophy maybe?
Yeah, it's your life. Take control of it. Don't let life take control of you. Just be the one holding the reins at all times and just live.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Eddie, for being the host on this podcast. I hope to have you on a second podcast. And thank you guys for listening and stay tuned for what's next.
Thank you guys. Did it record? Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. I'll fix this thing today. Kind of